A lovely afternoon here in the capital city. A little rain this morning. It's going to get a little toasty coming up. Fulton is as excited as he's ever been for the 100-degree weather.
I'm very upset. I'm upset by no. We're already cutting some things off and going off the rails here. I'm very upset, but we're about to be like at 100 billion degrees for like the next week. And then more importantly, I just talked with our good man Britt. It's supposed to rain like literally every day next week. Like every day is supposed to be storms all next week.
So it's going to be an absolute humid monster.
And, you know, certain people around this station have to now pitch in and help cover severe weather. And it just might be a certain person's week when it's apparently supposed to be the week from, hell.
Well,
so
I can tell
learning some new things.
I can tell you this is that it's going to get to 101 tomorrow and 102 on Thursday. Yikes.
I hate every word you just said there. I despise.
Absolutely love it. Can't wait.
You're a psychopath.
We have plenty to get to on this Tuesday. We'll talk a little Royal trade targets, and we'll break them down into 3 categories is where I break them down. But the Royals have 3 categories to trade. We'll get to that. We will also discuss kind of the KU Stadium situation, kind of some renderings, also some other new happenings in the MIAA. We'll talk with Derrick. It is Shawnee County Hall of Fame week because of the Shawnee County Sports Bank. We're going to talk with head coach Kevin Borderwick of the Washburn Rural Lady Blues basketball and volleyball coach. He's going into the Shawnee County Hall of Fame because all he does is win, no matter what. So we'll talk with Kevin Borderwick. Got a little odds makers. We'll be interested to know if this recent hot streak for the Kansas City Royals will change things. And we'll talk plenty of Chiefs as well in the 2 o'clock hour. So a lot to get to. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts on our YouTube page in the comments section. Go to youtube.com, search Sports on 580. Very simple, very easy. Click on it, hit the subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as we stream all the shows, reactions, recaps, breakdowns, all of that on our YouTube page. Royals in action today against the Guardians. We'll preview that series in the 2 o'clock hour. So before you start hammering that the Guardians can't hit a baseball, we will get to that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But it is the 7:10 first pitch. Lame. Yeah. 6:30 pregame coverage. You're starting too late. Everybody likes the 6:10, 6:40 start times. But today, Brady Singer towing the bump against some guy named Gavin Williams. So Gavin Williams, I think, works at a bank. And he also pitches for the Guardians. That's all I know about Gavin Williams.
I'll teach you something about Gavin Williams in the 2 o'clock hour.
I'm guessing, is he good?
He's all right. He's had 1 big league start. He is one of the Guardians' top prospects.
Oh, so the Royals are going to suck tonight.
Not necessarily. He gave his ERA is currently over 6 because he gave up 4 runs in his first start.
I will say this though: the Royals seeing somebody for the first time are normally
oftentimes does not go
terrible.
Well. Yeah, it usually doesn't go well. It is hard because you have no film. Yeah. Like you have literally 1 start of film.
There's a reason why I don't know who Gavin Williams is because nobody knows who Gavin Williams is.
No, not unless you're a baseball prospect sicko.
Yeah. That's not me. That's definitely not me.
And I'm like baseball prospects, but I'm not an intense sicko, so I don't know a ton about Gavin Williams. Yeah. I know a little bit, not much.
No, don't know a thing about Gavin Williams. So we'll get to that. But we are inching closer. We are about a month away from the trade deadline. Now, to me, there are 3 aspects for the trade deadline right now for the Kansas City Royals. They are in the must-trade category, the could-trade category, and then the, well, it depends on what you get back category. Those are the 3 categories to me. The must-trades, the could-trades are, you know what? We could probably get something for him because we don't know if he's going to be truly part of the future, that type of thing. And then the depends on what you get back. That is all you have to get better than market value.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with that. The depends on what you get back. None of these guys are, not a single person is off limits for the Kansas City Royals, all right? They have no, you can't move this guys, okay?
No, I agree.
It all depends on what you get back. That's why you start with Salvador Perez, right? Depends on what you get back from Salvador Perez. The thing is, I don't know how much you're going to get back from Salvador Perez.
Oh, I agree.
But then the others, Nick Prado, he is trade. You could trade Nick Prado. No question you could. What do you get? You could probably get something pretty decent back, but it depends on what you get back. Vinny Pasquantino, same situation. You got a first baseman and a first baseman. You don't need two first basemen. Not
really.
You kind of got to choose maybe between Prado and Vinny P, and that's why I say it depends on what you get back. Bobby Witt Jr., same situation. Depends on what you get back. Brady Singer. Maybe I put Brady Singer in the could trade category, but because of how bad he pitched, it kind of depends on what you get back.
Yeah, with Singer specifically, it's very much depends on what you get, because you'd be selling so low that if you think there's anything you can fix and get better, it'd actually be probably more optimal to fix him the rest of the season, shop him in the winter.
All right, here are the guys that you must trade. If they are not, if they are on this roster August 1st, then something happened.
Yeah.
Something bad happened.
Yeah.
And I'm talking very bad.
Yeah,
Either one, JJ Piccolo was terrible
his price
at his
was
job.
Too high.
Terrible at his job. Terrible at his job.
Yeah.
Or somebody got hurt.
Yeah.
Those are the two categories, okay? Must trades. Aroldis Chapman.
Yep.
Must trade.
Get him gone.
And maybe we should include another one, like a subset of must trades, like trade immediately.
Yeah, which Aroldis Chapman is he needs to be off this roster ASAP.
Yes. Scott Barlow. Trade him as
soon as possible, honestly.
As you can. Okay.
Someone called you for Scotty, get rid of Scotty.
Yep. Nicky Lopez. I trade Nicky Lopez. If Nicky Lopez is on this team August 1st, I think, and I don't care what you get for him, even if you get a hard throwing prospect in single A, trade Nicky Lopez. And we're going to get to the reason why here in a little bit. If he can get healthy, Amir Garrett, get rid of Amir Garrett. Maybe you can get something for Amir Garrett. He hasn't pitched great this year. He hasn't pitched awful this year. He's hurt. Can you trade something? I would like to see you trade Amir Garrett. Those are only the 4 guys that I have that are must trades for this team. The guys that I think you could trade, okay? Because the must trades is, I think there is a market for Chapman Barlow, and I do think there is a market for Nicky Lopez.
I definitely think there's a market for Nicky Lopez, because any team could use a contact utility player with speed and elite defense.
Yes.
Any championship team will take that on their bench.
Yep. Guys who you could trade, and these are the ones that I would be more aggressive than not. Edward Olivares. If you could get something for him, I think you could trade Edward Olivares. I don't know if he's really truly part of the future. The problem is that the Royals already have kind of 2 DHs, because it's to the point now where Olivares is you can only DH the guy. Yeah. He is that bad in the outfield right now. Yeah. Well, you already have Vinny Pasquantino, and you already have Salvador Perez. So I think Olivares could be traded in this situation. I think Kyle Isbell might. The problem is he's been hurt, but if you could trade him. I think MJ Melendez is a guy that you could trade at this point in time. We know he really is a man without a position. He's not really a catcher, not really an outfielder, but if you would be trading, not necessarily pennies on the dollar, but you'd be trading 50 cents on the dollar. But if you don't think he's part of the future, you could trade him now. The guy that I think, and maybe you move him to the depends on what you get back category because of how well he's done, but also I think this is a guy who you could get a decent return in, is Maikel Garcia. Yeah. He is interesting. Okay. And the reason why he is very interesting in this situation is he is a shortstop. That is his position. He is a shortstop. Okay. You already have a shortstop. That's Bobby Witt Jr. Playing Maikel Garcia at third base, like, in all honesty, the best way for the Royals if you want to value positional value, is you flip them. You put Bobby Witt at third, and you put Michael Garcia at short. But they've already determined they are playing Bobby Witt at short, even though Michael might even be a better shortstop.
There's not a might. Michael Garcia is a better shortstop.
So that, to me, is interesting. But you could get a decent return for a guy who's got 5 years, because low key, Michael Garcia he has a chance to finish maybe top 4 in Rookie of the Year voting.
He does.
He really does.
And when it comes to Michael specifically, and I've kind of been touting this a lot, and I'll make it clear, like, I love Michael. I have been rooting for him this entire offseason. I wanted him up on opening day. Like, this is why I wanted him up, because you're seeing what he can do. He has great bat to ball skills, can hit for a good average, and he's so good defensively. The thing is, his best value is at short because of the defensive ability, and the bat is just a better profile for that spot, because at third base, your corner spots, you need power. Given what that position demands defensively and other things, you need that spot to also give you power. You need it.
You need to hit 20-some home runs if you're going to play third base.
And Michael Garcia is never going to be that. So that's where I've always been at that. And I've seen a lot of Royals fans moving into the why would you trade Michael Garcia camp, because he can be, and he really could be a good long-term future piece. Even if he was a long-term third baseman, he would still have some value. The problem is you are losing some of that value by not maximizing it. And there is a market, and a strong market, for a premium elite defender at short who can get on base and steal bases. And I mean in such a way that every single team in baseball would take that. And so Michael is great, and him being on the Royals would be awesome. But when you are a team like the Royals and you're in a rebuild like this, and you're in a spot where you need more talent, in the simplest way, you need to find a way to turn one Michael Garcia into two Michael Garcias.
Or you just find a way to turn one Michael Garcia into, ready for this? The whole joke is, oh, wow, insert team here signed this guy, and then well, can he play defense?
Yeah.
Can he pitch? Just give me a pitcher.
And that's my thing.
Give me a pitcher.
Michael Garcia, and I've said this a lot, and it's not just Michael specifically. The Royals need to start trading some of these infielders.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point to where, regardless of talent, the Royals have too many infielders, both in the big league club and in the minors. They have so many guys who could be big league contributors. They all play the same positions.
Real quick, let's name it. Okay.
Because you have Michael Garcia, obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is in his spot. Samad Taylor is a potential good middle infielder that you have. Nicky Lopez is on that list. Nick Lofton down in the minor leagues.
Michael Massey.
Michael Massey is shown that he might be not great, but he's been showing he can be a competent big league bat. There are all these different guys at different levels. I mean, you got Caden Wallace, you got Peyton Wilson, guys deeper down in the system. You have so many dudes that play second, short, and third. At some point, they just don't have homes.
No.
And so what a good organization does is you trade from your strength. The Royals' strength right now is infield depth. They have so many young infielders that Michael Garcia, to me, has the second best trade value. The best trade value is Bobby Witt Jr. because while he's not at the same potential right now where he could be, the tools are all there. Like, your best infielder with trade value is Bobby because of what he can be. Michael's your second best trade value. And I'm okay with either decision they make. That's why I'm fine with him being in a could trade category. Because if they keep him and go, you know what? Even if it's at third or they move him to second, we're keeping Michael. I'm cool with that because he is a great player to have on your team and can be on a championship winning team. But also, if the Royals come out and say, big blockbuster trade, Michael Garcia is kind of a little bit at the center, and the Royals get like 3 or 4 high-level prospects back, I'm not going to cry for a second.
Or one high-level pitcher.
Yeah, one basically big league ready arm that you can put on the mound tomorrow. Like,
ready for this? If you trade Michael Garcia for someone who has upside, who's right in I don't know the reason the name pops up is because the Royals are facing him tonight. Gavin Williams. I have no idea if Gavin Williams is supposed to be a good prospect or not, but if he was, a guy who the Guardians felt like, hey, we think he could be okay, then you do that. You say, hey, we'll see if this is going to work.
And here's the thing, and we have a texter from the 785 basically says, great, here we go again. bring up a talented rookie just to trade them. This has been at the center of the Michael Garcia situation of everyone who doesn't want to see him do it is you see a talented young player. Why would we get rid of them? What I at least am trying to get across is one, you don't have to agree with what we're saying right now. You can be firmly in the don't trade him. And I will not be against you for a second. I truly won't. But when you are a team as mired in a rebuild and a dysfunctional system as the Royals are, because they got placed here because they've been led in a bad area for several years. The best way to get out of that and fix all of these systems, you have to let some guys go and use talented players to fill in other gaps. Like that is just the nature of this particular business.
It's the same situation that the Royals were in when they traded Will Myers for James Shields, Wade Davis, and Elliott Johnson, I think.
Yeah, it was Elliott Johnson who's only good against Tampa Bay. But you traded away Will Myers and Jake Odorizzi at the same time, which at the time, those were your dudes.
Well, Will Myers would essentially be, the Michael Garcia.
Yeah.
Because you needed other players. The Royals need other spots. Right now, here there are only 3 ways in which you can acquire players in Major League Baseball. That is it. There are 3 ways. You buy them, you trade them, you draft them. That is it. There are no other ways to get a player. Right now, the Royals cannot draft them, right?
And hopefully that gets better, but
they're not going to buy him. Okay.
No,
so the only way to get more players
you have to trade
is if I give you a Ken Griffey Jr. card and you're going to give me 2 guys who have been scouted well and we think they're going to turn into Lorenzo Cain, Alcides Escobar. That's what you're hoping for. You traded away Greinke to get Lorenzo Cain and Alcides Escobar. That's the hope.
The painful part with any of these young player trades is it sucks more once you know they can be good big leaguers. Because, the benefit in hindsight of the Jake Odorizzi and Will Myers part of the trade for James Shields was Jake Odorizzi and Will Myers weren't that great at big leaguers. Like, Will Myers I've been DFA'd yet again. Jake Odorizzi can't stay healthy. Like, they're semi-competent players, but they were never the stars we were hoping them to be. The bummer to this, and why I know it's a bigger problem for some people, is Michael Garcia showing he can be a big league player. But there's another fact of the matter to that. His value just went up.
Yeah.
Because now you can tell teams, it's not a guess. I'm giving you a big league shortstop.
I understand why people are.
I get the hesitation. I do. I understand.
And if you want to get frustrated that they whiffed on every single pitching prospect.
Yeah, that they have to do these trades because they need to keep filling the system again.
If Singer, if Lynch, if Kowar, if Bubic, if Bolin were, decent, guess what?
Wouldn't be in this position, honestly.
We're not talking about this. We're talking about a team competing because if the pitching staff were decent, this team would be decent. And now everybody is looking at this. Wow, maybe we move Garcia to second.
Yeah.
And you've got Bobby.
And that could work.
And then you go and you find a free agent third baseman. Yep. And holy smokes, look at this.
You're golden.
We got a team.
You're golden.
Unfortunately, that's not
where we're at.
No. Coming up, we will take a peek at what's going on with West Virginia. Boy, Bobby Huggins really hurt that basketball franchise. We will get to that, and we'll talk about that, Derrick, coming up at the bottom of the hour. West Virginia, they're going the interim route, and he is a Kansas native. How about Josh Eilert from Osborne, graduate assistant from Kansas State, followed Huggy Bear to West Virginia. He's been the assistant coach for Huggy Bear since he's been there. He was named the interim coach. He's going to make $1.5 million for his efforts. The problem is that there's already starting to be a mass exodus. Trey Mitchell has put his name in there. He is now gone. He's going to Kentucky. Two other transfers, Toussaint and Krisa, both transfers in, both good players.
I will add this about Kirk Krisa. I'll double check this over the break. I believe Kirk Krisa has pulled his name out of the portal, and Kirk Krisa will be coming back to the team.
Big.
But Joe Toussaint is in the portal. We'll also be taking a trip to Kansas State at the end of this week.
And K-State's got a scholarship available.
Yeah, they do.
So
that's what they need.
That's big to keep one of them. But this is why the timing of this is
brutal,
so difficult. One, it sounds like no coach was going to leave their school at this point in time. One, because they didn't want to do it, or two, the buyout was too big and West Virginia didn't want to do it. So now you are essentially, this is almost I don't want to say a wasted year, but it is a year that
the expectations are a lot lower than what they were. They have been lowered very heavily.
And so I don't know if Josh Eilert's just a lame duck coach or not, but this is a tough one. This is. Huggy Bear did West Virginia no favors. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Matt Derrick, all things Chiefs. The city to talk all things Chiefs on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone lines is our good friend Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, how are you doing on this Tuesday?
Not too bad. Enjoying what is a relatively nice day in Kansas City before, I guess, a couple of nightmarish heat days and the 4th of July. So I'm enjoying it while I can.
You and Fulton, one and the same. He is very upset with the 102 degree weather.
100-degree temps stink, and no place on earth should be over 100 degrees.
I mean, I heat over winter and snow and everything because, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, you can't slip on sunshine, but it's still unnecessary.
You're on Team Sunshine, but when the sunshine is too hot, then that's when you draw the line.
Yeah, and and it's probably because I'm getting old and fat and everything. Well, not as fat as I used to be, but I'm still old. But man, cold just sucks. But at least cold. I mean, hot rather. We have air conditioning that helps, and I don't have to go out and shovel anything. So, I mean, that's why I will take sunshine. I will take summer. I just don't need to be this hot.
My defense is always, listen, with the heat, you can only take off so many clothes to cool yourself down. There's not really a limit to the amount of clothes you can put on to warm yourself up.
And there is a limit to how many clothes you want me to take off.
See, Matt, I'm in the same boat with myself. There's definitely that limit.
All right, Matt.
A serious limit.
All right, I got a question for you. We talked about this yesterday, Fulton and myself did. The Chiefs' skill players, which is running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. ESPN has them ranked 19th in the league. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. It's one of those things that, I mean, if you separate out all of the elements, I guess it's probably to a degree maybe a reasonable ranking. I would still probably say that if you've got Travis Kelce in that group, don't know how it can be quite that low. I mean, I think he alone probably makes you above league average. But I mean, I get it because the receiver room is completely unproven, and I get people who have some questions about the running back room, but I can't take it all in isolation. I mean, I take it in how do they fit within the offense and the scheme of what you're doing? Because I think there's some teams that probably have some pretty talented players, but probably just have them in the wrong system, and vice versa. Maybe they got some, guys that aren't very good, but they're playing in a great system, and therefore maybe they're better than they are. And the Chiefs are in that category, but I mean, I would say that I don't think that their running back room is below league average. I mean, I think it's above league average. Tight end group. I mean, one or two in the league. I think you'd have to make an argument there. Receiver room. I mean, are you telling me that they average it out to 19th? That it's like 29th best room in the league? I don't know if I can make that case. I mean, I think it's going to be better than that. And once again, you put them in this system, and they're certainly going to be better than that. So, yeah, I think that's a little low. But I mean, I can see why somebody would get there. I just don't know if I necessarily agree with the methodology.
My question with putting this together, it's almost like, the theory of all squares are rectangles, but not, or all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles, though, that type of situation. Because let's look at the running backs. Okay. Isaiah Pacheco had 1,000 yards rushing last year. Um, pretty good running back. Jerick McKinnon had 9 touchdowns receiving last year. You know, that's pretty darn good. The Chiefs are not built on running. So the fact that, that these guys don't have gaudy numbers means that I'd rather have someone else than those guys. Same thing at the wide receiver position. Last year, weren't we having the same question? All of these guys are unproven. Juju Smith-Schuster hasn't played at all last year. McCole Hardman, he's just a gadget guy. I swear right now, Juju and McCole Hardman were the sole reason that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, apparently. Like, do people forget that Hardman hardly played the last half of the year, yet they went down a year ago? Like, I guess I don't quite understand how, these wide receivers are not, elite. I'm not saying that they should be in the same level, as the Bengals or, the Bills or the Dolphins, but they got the Bears ranked ahead of them. Like, that's ridiculous in my opinion. And unless I'm undervaluing Juju Smith-Schuster and McCole Hardman on just how so important they were to the staff, I guess I just don't quite understand it, considering the same stuff was asked last year and Mahomes won the MVP.
Yeah, and I'm with you right there on that, because and especially on McCole Hardman and Juju specifically, because like you said, I mean, Mahomes was out the last half of the season, so that was not really a consideration. Juju, I mean, really had a 6-week stretch there where he disappeared.
Yes.
I mean, he was almost a non-factor for a stretch of the season. And other guys, picked up and stepped up. And this year's room, I mean, hey, I get that these guys have taken some different journeys to get there. They do have 2 first-round picks in that wide receiver room. And the 2 best receivers from last year, I think had great years last year, MVS and Richie James, I mean, are actually pretty good receivers and probably a little bit underrated. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't quite get it. I understand if you're just looking at on paper and you're looking at what they return, what they lost, all of that. But I can't that the Chiefs are putting out there. No offense to Dan, I'm sure he's listening, but I guess he's not too obsessed. I mean, I guess Brendan's the one I'm thinking of. It's not like it's the Packers just sending out 6 hobos with Aaron Rodgers out there. I mean, Chiefs have some talent that just matches what they do.
I'm looking at Juju Smith-Schuster's game logs, and the reason why I want to bring this up is simply for the fact that at the end of the year, Juju Smith-Schuster, all right, the last half of the year after he was inactive against the Chargers, he goes 3 receptions. He had a decent game against Denver and a decent game against Houston, 74-88. And then he goes 27 yards, 21 yards, 35 yards. He had a total of 1 touchdown from week 7 through 17.
Yeah.
That's not exactly like, wow, we're losing a major key contributor. You know, I to me, this is kudos to the Chiefs because they recognize, look, someone will be productive if Patrick Mahomes is throwing him the football. Insert guy here. You got to have one stud. Just fine. Put the resources elsewhere. That's why I look at this and just go, yeah, they don't have the big names, but I would take, if Richie James is their number 5 receiver, that's a good number 5 receiver.
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, if Richie James ends up being the number 5 receiver on this team, it tells me that there are 4 really good receivers on this team, because I think that's a guy who can go out there. Even though I do get nervous about guys first year in an offense and some younger guys, and he's not particularly younger, and I think he's been in some good offenses. He had some good coaching, and I look at last year having good numbers with a very average quarterback, and a very somewhat conservative. He had Josh Allen. I mean, that's not what he had last year. And Rich James did really well. That's why I'm pretty bullish on him. But if he's their 5th best receiver, I mean, I think that means that there's 4 other guys that had good years. But it's the tell me and explain to me after what we saw last year in the limited role for Kadarius Toney, that you don't think that Matt Nagy and Andy Reid aren't going to be able to get McCole Hardman-like production out of Kadarius Toney. I mean, I think that's probably the bare minimum that you're going to be able to get out of him. And if that's the case, that's another guy who's going to have a pretty decent year. It really all depends on health. Like, if this wide receiver core or Kadarius Toney stays healthy, I think he can have I think he can be a 1,000-yard receiver. If he plays 15 of the 17 games, I think he'll be a 1,000-yard receiver. Yeah, I don't know. I'm somewhat more conservative. I'm of the philosophy that I'm just not sure if there's a 1,000-yard receiver in that group this year. There wasn't last year. It wasn't a problem. They won a Super Bowl. Travis Kelce is probably still a 1,000-yard receiver, so that's not a big problem for you. And I think there's a chance that they do spread the football around a lot more this year. I mean, obviously there were times last season that the 5th best receiver they had on the field might have been Marcus Kemp. I mean, we're talking about the philosophy that Richie James is the 5th best, or Rashee Rice might end up being the 5th best. I mean, that's still to me an upgrade over what you had last year, a deeper group. I mean, as much as we did talk about that group being somewhat deep last year, I think this group's going to be a whole lot deeper. It's not top heavy, but I mean, if you told me that there were going to be 4 guys, with 400 or 500 yards plus, I think I might buy it. If I could say this, Toney stays healthy 15 of the 17 games, is he your number 1 leading receiver? If he's healthy that much, I think he's got a chance. I still don't know. I mean, I really need to see a training camp, what positions these guys are playing and where they're most comfortable. I still think that the 1,000-yard potential is in him. Is it 23 or is it 24? I mean, I think it's more longer term, because I didn't get to see enough of him last year, and even in New York, really enough of him to know that he is a complete receiver yet. And I think the Chiefs can get him there. I mean, if he's got the right attitude and the work ethic, he can get there. I just don't know if he's there yet. Alrighty. Are we not talking enough about MVS potentially in year 2? I've thought about that, and the reality to me is that I thought that MVS looked a lot like he did last year during OTAs. I didn't see a huge improvement, not a huge drop off either, but he had a really good OTA period last year too. I am starting to become of the philosophy that Marquez is what he is, which is what he's proven this to be. Which is a guy who can get you 600 or 700 yards. Maybe there's going to be a season where he gets a couple of breaks and he's an 800-yard guy. But I think he's probably just that player. I'm not sure if this point in his career he's all of a sudden going to become a 1,000-yard guy. The one stumbling block for him in becoming that player is catching the football. He has too many drops. He just has too many moments where he just doesn't get the football. And it's not even bad drops. He has some of those, but sometimes it's even just you feel like the 50-50 balls don't go his way. That he's just not as elite as some other guys. Maybe his hands are just a little bit too average. Whereas Rich James last year, had elite hands. If that was the case, you had that kind of catch percentage for Marquez. Marquez would be probably a 900,000-yard receiver. That's the only thing I think that's holding him back. And is that something that you can change at this point in your career? I don't know. Still seeing a few of the undeserved drops from him in OTAs that makes me think, okay, Marquez is what he is, and that's not a bad receiver. But if you're going to be an elite receiver, you need to have like 0 or 1 drops a year, and Marquez at this point has been a guy who's had more than that.
We're talking with Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Derrick. All right. Any update on Chris Jones at all?
It's been pretty quiet. Chris has obviously kind of been out there a little bit. I know he's posted, shooting some commercials, and he's been at some events and everything. And it was actually at Arrowhead apparently for the barbecue fest. But hasn't been any movement on the contract situation that we've heard of, and doesn't surprise me. I'm still thinking it's going to be a little bit of ways, and it would certainly help if the Quinn Williams and the Jets deal got done. But at this point, it certainly seems like there hasn't been a lot of progress.
Are you buying that he was sick for missing the ring ceremony?
I will take it at face value, because I think that Chris would have liked to have been there. Obviously we know that he could have skipped the paparazzi, meaning us, I guess I'm paparazzi at this point. But
we think you're above that. So
there you go. There might've been some paparazzi there. I guess Kevin Durant's people were there. I put him in the paparazzi category. But he could have skipped the red carpet. Clyde did. So, he didn't have to talk to us. So I'll take him at face value on that. But I could also get it if, it was just something that he didn't want to make the contract a story, and didn't want to be necessarily a part of it. He's been in a ring ceremony before. They did one in 2020. It was a little bit scaled down, obviously, a little bit different. But like I said, we were talking about before, he went to the White House. So I don't think that there's anything keeping him away from the celebration. So I'd say give him the benefit of the doubt.
All righty. You still think that they're going to get a deal done, correct?
I do.
Okay.
When is still a question, but I do think it gets done, and I think it gets done certainly before they get too deep into training camp.
If they don't get it done, what do? They only have $409,000 on cap space. They have the least amount of cap space in all the NFL. They got to do something. That's why I think this signing of or extension of Chris Jones, that's the way. You can probably clear $5-6 million in cap space with just this Chris Jones restructure. If they don't do it, what are they going to do?
There's always goofy things that you can do with the cap. It does seem that there are still some options that they would have with moving some money around for Mahomes if they had to. There's a few other contracts that they really don't want to touch that they could move some money. Joe Tooney's is one of those. And if Chris wanted to be cooperative, there's a way that they could actually move some Chris Jones money around in a way that I wouldn't want to if I'm the Chiefs. But right now, the bulk of Chris's money is in base salary this year, which means he's not getting it until he gets his weekly paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
If they converted that into a signing bonus and gave him the money now and added a year onto the contract and took half that money into next season, they could do that. And Chris gets paid a chunk of money right now, doesn't have to wait for it, for 6 months. That would be a win-win. So, there's always squirrely accounting and salary cap tricks that you can do that are out there. I just know that the Chiefs don't want to do any of them. I mean, the only one that they want to do is they want to get a restructured Chris Jones contract done without touching anybody else's contract.
There is a report out there today that the Chiefs sold out the game in Germany in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it sounded like there were quite a few people in the queue. So I hope if you were trying to get tickets, you managed to get in there, although those tickets are crazy.
How? Like, I'm looking at one of this, and it said people are currently ahead of you, and if I can do my math correctly, it is 1,281,518. You're telling me that there's a 1.2 million Chiefs fans out there that actually have the money to go to Germany and go there?
I can't explain that one. I mean, I'm always suspicious on ticket sales, so I always assume it's brokers and there's a lot of shenanigans going on and everything. But I mean, point to me a bigger game that's been played overseas. I mean, generally speaking, the NFL just doesn't do this. I mean, they send over pretty terrible games. I mean, this is probably going to be one of, if not the best NFL game that the league has ever shipped overseas. And I mean, I think that's good for the league. I mean, obviously going to get them interest. You send, obviously, you're the face of the NFL right now, and Patrick Mahomes over there. And you've got a guy like Tyreek Hill, who's obviously one of the greatest athletes in the league. I mean, this is all good. And the Chiefs have done a really good job of trying to build their brand, and especially in Germany. So I don't know if they've got 1 million fans worth of popularity yet. But there's no doubt. I mean, the Chiefs have made a lot of inroads there. I mean, they've got a marketing deal now with, and they've got merchandising now. So there's a German company that's making Chiefs gear over there and selling it. And having Mahomes doesn't hurt. So maybe that's the case. But I always assume when it comes to the tickets, there's some sort of Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes shenanigans going on.
Alrighty, last two for the road. Make them, got to do them real quick here. All right, who do you like coming up on Thursday? Do you like Mahomes and Kelsey, or Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in a golf match?
Not having seen Klay Thompson, play golf, that's my wild card. I mean, I'm assuming that this is going to be pretty even, although I think Steph's probably a better golfer than Patrick.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I think going to be the edge. Steph's just as the better golfer of the group, so I think he's going to probably be the one carrying it. So I think those guys might get the win.
Alrighty, lastly, we won't talk to you next week because it is, or we might talk to you on Wednesday after because the 4th of July is next week. How many fireworks, how much money will you spend on fireworks?
I don't spend any money on fireworks anymore. I mean, I'm a fuddy-duddy. I mean, I used to be a big spender, but now, live out in little suburbs and don't usually have a 4th of July party or anything. So I just mooch off everybody else's fireworks.
Hey, that's all right. We all go through phases. That's all good. No, don't apologize if you're not going to spend money on fireworks. You're all right. Just watch them. You're good. Matt, we appreciate it. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend and stay cool, my friend.
You too. And happy 4th of July, everybody.
Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. Sorry if you don't want to light off fireworks. That's all right.
Yeah, I haven't done that in so long.
Coming up, we'll talk a little college. We'll get to a list, and then Dan Lucero stops by. On this Tuesday, Jake Levon, along with Fulton Caster, rocking the old school Kansas City Monarchs hat. Fantastic.
Great hat.
Absolutely fantastic. Maybe that's what we could do for our list. Hats. Like, hats that look awesome.
Yeah.
But the problem there is it's every minor league hat of all time.
Yeah.
Is number one. Why can't the majors have way cooler hats than they have?
I don't know, man.
They're so boring.
Yeah. I will say 580 Sports Talk will get to see this. And actually, our own listeners, if you're on the YouTube live stream, we'll get to see Dan's hat today. Dan's hat is fire today. It's amazing.
I don't know what it is.
It's a Tampa Bay Devil Rays hat, but it's a classic. It's
school.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see when Dan pops in here for crosstalk at the bottom of the hour. And anybody on the YouTube live stream, we're going to see it as well. Dan's hat today is top tier work.
We need better hats.
I believe Dan yesterday was wearing a hat with a beach dog on it for a minor league baseball team hat.
See, that's cool.
I mean, I got my Wichita Wind Surge Turbo Tubs hat, which is one of my favorite possessions because it's just a goblin driving a tub.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Minor league baseball, if it teaches us anything, it's that people need to take their logos and branding way less seriously.
No, they need to take it. We need to talk more about it because it's that much better.
Well, Wichita,
they're way more creative than anybody out there.
Occasionally, the Wichita Wind Surge have Tumbas Vacas night where they're the cow tippers and their hat is bright green with a bright pink bill and an upside down cow on it. One of my good friends in Wichita owns that hat.
That's amazing.
It's the greatest hat I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
I want to buy one for myself.
Yeah. Instead, we get the City Connect jerseys,
which some are fun and some are eh.
The Royals are.
I listen. I'm a very big fan of the Royals City Connect because I love the KC.
The Royals City Connect jerseys are in the upper third.
Yes, they are.
Okay, they're in the upper third. They're not awful.
No,
they're better than most.
Yeah, they're better than most.
They're better than most.
And routinely, most people seem to have that opinion. Most people seem to really like them.
Yep. Coming up, we will hear from Kevin Borderwick in the 2:00 hour. He is going to the Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame this year, part of the 4-person class of Chris Barnes, who we spoke with yesterday. If you missed us talking with the bowling legend, you can head to our website. Go to 580wibw.com. Great info on that. He gave us some tips on bowling yesterday, okay? His big tip was use your legs more than your arms. I want an easy tip. Use your legs more so than your arms.
Man, I could believe in that. My biggest problem because in Wichita, there's a bowling alley not far from my house that most nights, especially on weekends, would offer what they called cosmic bowling after 11 p.m.
Yeah.
You play one flat fee, and you bowl.
Or a fat fee.
You get to bowl from like 11 o'clock to 1 in the morning when they close as many games as you want. You play one time, you play all night. By game 2, like halfway through game 2, going into game 3, my arm wants to die.
Is it free beer too?
I don't know. I never went and did it when I've been above the age of 21.
Oh,
So
I'd take
probably not. I believe
free
it's
beer,
just
be
the
great.
bowling is the one thing, but I've never gone and done that while I've been above 21.
They need to have.
So what we did as kids in high school. We had a great time.
They need dollar beer night at bowling alleys.
Oh, yeah,
have
they
that?
do.
Do they have that? I don't know.
I don't know. I'd get I'd hammer pictures of beer while
Yes.
bowling
Heck
balls.
yes.
It'd be a
is
great
awesome.
time.
We're going to talk with Kevin Borderwick today, and then we'll talk with Crystal Kemp and Rick Peterson tomorrow here on 580 or on Mic'd Up here on 580 WIBW. So I want to get to a couple topics here kind of locally. First, we're going to start with the news of a leaked. I don't want to say it was leaked, but it was released, and even KU athletic director, he even spoke about this. But the consultants report leaked, and this is what this big gigantic KU. Gosh, I mean, I almost want to call it a 5,000 square foot conference center, 20,000 square feet of office space, up to 55,000 square feet of retail space, fan plazas on the east and the south sides, seating capacity of just under 40, and a multi-story building, no more than 5 stories, with potential for rooftop dining. Now, here's the thing. Conference center, fine. Retail space, get it. No need for the 20,000 square feet of office space. That's stupid. That's just a waste of money. Fan plazas, so be it. And when it comes to the seating of this, now I look at this and say it can't be lower than 40. Now, Travis Goff went to Twitter, and boy, he was active on Twitter.
Travis Goff occasionally gets online.
Which little hint here. Travis Goff, don't interact with opposing fan bases. Okay.
Yep. Stay away.
You can't do that.
Stay away.
And Travis Goff started to do that really early in the morning too, by the way. Did you notice some of those timestamps?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, some of those I'm like, what are you doing, man? Don't interact. He's trying to, wire K-State fans all in his mentions and all that. And he's like, hey, here's the place where you can, donate to KU and buy season tickets. That's just, I don't want my athletic director interacting with opposing fan bases. I want my athletic director doing 2 things. All right. Making money and hiring coaches. Right now, Travis Goff, you've done that.
Yeah.
So you've hired coaches.
Some good ones.
Fantastic. You hired one, and then the other one, just don't irritate, and you'll be good.
Yeah. One of of your 2 big sports, one of them you hired new, and you did a great job with that hire. The other one is just let him be.
Yeah.
Let Bill just sit over there and do his thing.
And
it's worked out pretty well so far.
He said, don't worry, KU fans. Remember, I am one of you. I am a Jayhawker. We are not going to have a seating capacity of under 40,000. Okay. He said that, love our consultants, but capacity will be over 40K. The project will have something for everyone. We're all over it, Hawks. Don't worry. They need a new stadium. No questions asked.
Yeah.
KU needs a new stadium, and they need it badly. So badly. That's all the money should be going to KU's stadium because it is a dump. Okay. I love Memorial Stadium. It was good. If you can somehow keep it and work around it, I don't know if you can, but those stadiums are just it's time to move on from Memorial Stadium. I don't know how they're going to do it while they play a season because it's going to take more than 1 year. I don't know what they're going to do, but they need a new stadium. the fact that they had to have porta-johns last year, that's embarrassing. Okay. Get that taken care of. And I don't care how they do it, just as long as me, the taxpayer, is at all funding this.
Yeah.
I am team get new buildings, get new everything, as long as the taxpayer doesn't. That's all I care about, because there's been a big stink right now about who's going to pay for it and are they getting tax dollars for athletics. Tax dollars should go to the schools.
Yes.
Education.
Yes.
Not athletics.
Correct.
I don't know enough about it. And I don't care.
We're not getting into that debate. We're just going to put that we are on the side of don't use public money for athletic facilities.
Public money for
that
athletic
is just
facilities.
our stance. We're not going to get into the weeds on what's exactly happening, because honestly, that debate is just such a mess right now.
And it's the same way with the Royals.
Yeah, it comes through college level and professional level. Public money should not be used to build these stadium projects. Pay for it yourself. Professional teams, you're $1 billion owners. Spend your own money.
Yeah.
Get a loan like the rest of us do. Colleges, universities, this is why you have donors.
Mm-hmm.
Donor fan bases, that's what you do to get your projects funded.
I don't care. Once you have the money, that you can allocate it however you want. If you want to spend it all on the science building, great. If you raise all that money and you want to spend it on a football stadium, great. But the stadium needs to be redone. I think the biggest problem is how are you going to do it while the season is going on? I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan will be for the timeline of what they would do. If they did, the thing is, if they did it in season, you'd almost have to start looking into temporary places for KU to play, I would have to say. Because I don't know if you could do this renovations while the season's going on. The other problem just becomes, I don't think you can do all of this work in one off season. Like, I think you'd have to really stagnate the projects to get it all done and not really affect seasons that are going on. Well, then it comes down to what the concrete plan is. These are just renderings, their ideas, their bids, their thoughts. Ground has not been broken. I've seen some comments with some of the renderings about, we get back to just a classic debate with every stadium ever of parking. I don't know why we have to bring this up with every stadium debate ever, and I want to whack all of you upside the head. Cool. They obliterate a parking lot to build some of this stuff. For you tailgaters, tailgate on the hill. That's literally what I did last year. You would still get that space. It's objectively more fun than tailgating in that parking lot. Tailgating on the hill is super fun. That space ain't changing. There you go for that one. Y'all know my stance on tailgating. I think some of y'all just overrate what it is. My second point is this: when it comes to parking, figure it out. KU, run more buses, park somewhere and walk. Like, all of you that complain about that, I want to literally take a book and just slap you upside the head with it. Not have to hurt you too bad, but have to knock some sense into you.
Yeah, parking is just not a concern for me.
It never is for me with any project ever. I figure it out.
Yeah.
I figure it out. I figure my best optimal way, and I go on from there.
Okay. I gotta walk.
Yeah.
I gotta walk. Whatever.
For those that need it accessibility-wise, there will always be accessibility actions for those that need that assistance.
The other aspect I want to get to, this involves the local schools. Washburn and the MIAA is now expanding. Lincoln is gone after this year, so the Lincoln Blue Tigers will be leaving this year. So now the MIAA has 11 football schools, 12 this year, but 11 for next year. And they have 14 schools this year, but they'll have 14 schools next year for basketball, because they're bringing in the University of Arkansas Fort Smith from Fort Smith, Arkansas. If you're wondering where Fort Smith, Arkansas is, it is an hour and a half south of Joplin or an hour south of Fayetteville. Okay. So it is a 5-hour drive to get to Fort Smith. You go down I-49, basically the intersection between I-49 and I-44. Really, really simple. The drive from Fayetteville to Fort Smith is actually very pretty, just letting you know. Very, very, Arkansas is called the natural state. Lot of trees. It's a really pretty drive. Anyways, the interesting thing about this is I think the MIAA wants to get even bigger. And Mike Racy, who is the commissioner of the MIAA, said this. As we, the MIAA CEOs, have approved a plan for a steady and strategic membership growth during the next few years, UAFS provides the MIAA with an opportunity to add an outstanding public university, yada, 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 yada. That's right. Have approved a plan for steady and strategic membership growth during the next few years. So that tells me that the MIAA, at least their intentions are to get bigger. Otherwise, why would you say you have an approved a plan for steady and strategic growth?
Oh, 100%. I agree.
So they're trying to get bigger.
Yeah.
Are they trying to do divisions? Are we talking about North and South? North and South makes the most sense.
It does.
But the problem is, who wants to join the MIAA? Let's look at the local schools here real quick. All right. Within Kansas and Missouri, okay? Well, Kansas, every one of them's already in, okay? Newman joined. You got the other 4 plus Newman. They're already in there. What about Missouri? Okay. Go the closest one. Rockhurst.
Yep.
They don't want to join the MIAA. The MIAA tried to get them a while ago. They don't really need the MIAA right now. They don't have football, which would actually be helpful here because you could get to 15 schools. Maybe you get to 18, you know? Mm-hmm. You do 9 and 9, 9 North, 9 South, that type of deal with non-football. Well, they don't want to join the MIAA. William Jewell up there in Excelsior Springs.
Good old Billy Jewell.
They don't want to join the MIAA. And they don't want any part of the MIAA, okay? What about the rest of Missouri? Well, Lincoln already left. Rolla already left. Truman State already left. Drury. Now, Drury in Springfield, they are a possibility. They are football. They are only non-football, if you will. Drury could, right? Okay, you move into Springfield. That's pretty much it. You know, you're not going to go all the way to St. Louis, but maybe you had Lindenwood. I don't know. So you're going to go south. All right, what do we got in south? Well, you got the Great American Schools, the GAC. Okay, you got Southwestern Oklahoma State. You got Oklahoma Baptist. You've got Southeastern Oklahoma. You've got Southern NAS. Yeah, none of them are going to join the MIAA, I wouldn't think. The 2 schools that I think have the best chance would be Southwestern Oklahoma State and Oklahoma Baptist. And the reason why is they are close enough to other MIAA schools. So you'd have kind of a South, which would be those 2 schools, plus Central Oklahoma, Northeastern, Rogers, and now Arkansas Fort Smith. You throw in Pitt State and Joplin. There's your South. Everyone else is the North. But will you get 2 other schools to join you from the Great American Conference? It is way easier to win in the Great American Conference than it is in the MIAA.
Yeah,
it is a fact, Jack. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that.
That's just telling it like it is.
All right, what about going north? All right, the only school that's a Division II school that's not in the MIAA going north is Wayne State. They were in the CSIC back in the day. Maybe they're looking at it. So I don't know what schools they're gonna. You're not going after Lone Star schools because they're way far south. Those are Texas schools. Okay, you're not joining the MIAA. I don't think you're going into Illinois and getting Quincy and McKendree and all that. I don't see that happening. So I don't know where else that they're gonna grow to unless I'm wrong and schools in the GAC or a school like William Jewell or Rockhurst or Drury.
They kind of changed their mind and they want to come around. No, it's interesting. I think there's definitely a plan for longer, bigger expansion. Yep. It's just I don't know what that plan looks like.
I don't know either. I really don't. I just don't want the rivalries to go away.
Agreed.
That's all that matters. Coming up next, everyone loves the list. We're going to go with our favorite Nelly. That's right. The rapper Nelly. His favorite songs coming up next. Alrighty, everyone loves the list. Today, June 27th, 2000, St. Louis rapper Nelly released his first studio album entitled Country Grammar. That's right.
Man, now I'm feeling old that was 2000.
Nelly hit the scene on this day in 2000 when he released Country Grammar. So, we're going with our favorite Nelly songs. That's right. Nelly.
He has some bops. Absolute hits.
He really did.
Number 4 for me, For My, off of the Country Grammar album. Lil Wayne was on that track too. It was really good. I enjoy it.
My number 4, I am rolling with EI. That's
a good one. It's a good call.
EI. Uh-oh.
It's a good one.
Y'all ain't stopping me now.
Number 3, a classic, Hot in Here. It's a good song. Great club song.
Not a fan of Hot in Here.
See, for me, it's great because it's a really good club group song. Individually, I get it, but in the right setting, it's a good song. Good hit.
Number 3 for me, it's kind of a deep cut.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. You Can Find Me in St. Louis.
Ooh, that's a good one.
St. Louis,
a little bit of a deeper cut with St. Louis
for me.
That's good. Number 2 for me, Dilemma. Kelly Rowland on the track too. That's a good one.
Number 2 for me, it might be the most famous song about shoes. Because I'll get to stomping in my Air Force Ones. What? Stomping in my Air Force Ones. I got the all white high tops, straps with the gum bottoms.
Jake, I'm impressed you remember so much of these lines, man.
That song was
that's some bars. No, Air Force Ones is a good one.
Oh, man. Like, where are you getting those? Are you dying them? Fantastic song.
No,
I had a hard time putting that 2, but number 1 is easy.
Number 1's easy. It's Ride With Me.
It's
Ride With Me is the best Nelly song ever. It is a classic. It is fantastic. It is an absolute banger.
Ride With Me Ride With Me might be a top 10 rap song of all time.
It might be. It's so good.
It's so good. Ride With Me, like when you think of a rapper who's got a lot of songs, but like one just like jumps to the top.
Yeah. Like when you think of Nelly, Ride With Me shoots up to the top of your brain. It's right there with all of you.
Nelly, the first thing I think about when I think of Nelly, I think of Ride With Me. Second thing, it's St. Louis. Third thing, when he wore the Band-Aid over his eye.
Yep, true.
But Ride With Me. What a song. Oh, yeah. What a song. Coming up next, Dan Lucero stops in for a little crosstalk. I mean, an absolute hit back in. This one wasn't released, I believe, till 2001 when it got real big. Because I can tell you this, high school Jake played this thing in his truck on the CD
constantly,
repeatedly. This song was, I think, 2000, 2001. Jake was high school. Jake was a sophomore. Love this song.
It's a great
hit,
song. Man.
Great song. You know, he came out with Country Grammar first.
Yeah.
And then everybody was liking it. And then all of a sudden he dropped that one. And that made Country Grammar look, like a nursery rhyme. Like, fantastic. Absolutely terrific. And then really after that, Nelly dropped a couple here or there. But it is, today, back in 2000, Country Grammar turns 23 years old. That's incredible. It
really is.
It really is. Welcome back in. We bring in 580 Sports Talk's Dan Lucero.
Hey, guys.
Nelly fan, yay or nay?
Oh, man, those tracks went really hard.
Oh, they were
back
fantastic.
in the high school years.
Oh, they were great. They absolutely just hit in the grown-up days. Probably not the high school days specifically for me.
I don't know that I've listened to a lot of Nelly on purpose in the last 15 years.
Released February 13th, 2001. I was right. Yeah. Oh, man, that was fantastic.
When was the last time you intentionally listened to Nelly, Dan?
Well, Nelly's not really. When was his last song?
I believe he just put an album out in 2022.
Sure he did.
I think his most recent album was 2022.
He's doing nostalgia tours these days. He's still making money.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I'd watch Nelly. I liked Nelly.
Yeah, it looks like October of 2022, he released the album Still Hot in Here.
No, it's not. If you have to say it's still hot in here, it's no longer hot in here.
Do you have a favorite Nelly song since that was our list today?
Air Force Ones.
That was my number 2.
That's a good one.
What a great song.
No, Grills. Sorry.
See, I wasn't a huge Grill fan.
It's not really his song. When Paul Wall is on your song, it's Paul Wall's song.
That's true.
I wasn't a real big Grills guy. I wasn't. I didn't, I thought
really it's Big Gipp's song. If we're being technical, he the best 8 lines and 8 bars in the whole song.
But
if we're getting real specific, I mean, that's fair.
So you go Grills?
Grills and Air Force Ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these I don't really remember a whole lot of them. Not gonna lie to you. Pimp Juice. I remember that one.
It's a good one.
I remember that one.
He like that was like his brand of like energy drink.
I think so.
Yeah, Pimp Juice.
I believe so.
I remember that. Yeah.
Good beat to that one.
Yeah,
lyrics are nonsensical.
They only love me for my Pimp Juice.
Pimp Juice drink.
Yeah.
Non-carbonated energy drink. Yeah.
So shout out to Nelly, man. Way back in the day.
130 calories per can on the Pimp Juice.
Oh man.
2,000 milligrams, 100% your daily value of vitamins C, B3, B12, B6, and B5. I don't know what any of that means.
Is it riboflavin, one of them? Or niacin?
I don't see the niacin content of Pimp Juice. I'm sorry.
Well, it's one of those vitamin B6s because they have different names. Like vitamin B6 is like niacin or riboflavin or thiamine or something like that. Each one of them has a different name. Like vitamin B12 is another name. You're not a big riboflavin guy.
I don't really keep up on the riboflavin content of what it is that I'm eating. No, I don't.
Let's see.
I also don't stay up on
riboflavin is vitamin B2, by the way.
Okay.
So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Right. God, we need training camp to open like tomorrow.
Yeah, we're starting to get into the vitamin talk.
Let's see. Niacin.
Chris Jones needs to sign this contract soon.
You ready? Niacin, vitamin B3. Yeah, got to get your B3 up there, just to let you know. Dan, you're rocking a purple hat, which makes me think of LSU. LSU.
I'm wearing an LSU t-shirt.
Yeah.
That is true.
In honor of the Men's College World Series champion.
More boring final 2 games of a College World Series?
I mean, non-competitive doesn't necessarily mean boring. Those LSU boys were crushing baseball.
Yeah, but it was just more like batting practice.
Yeah, I mean, non-competitive, certainly.
Yeah.
Anticlimactic is what I would say. I wouldn't say boring because it's really only boring for half the audience. I think if you're an LSU fan, you'd watch that game again today. You'd sign up and watch it again. Anticlimactic, though, for sure, last
year. What's not anticlimactic, we were discussing this, the final number for the Jello shots.
LSU, man.
LSU bought just under 69,000 Jello shots at a bar in Omaha.
I'm going to keep a track.
That's incredible.
68,888.
That is almost $330,000 that they spent on Jello shots.
You think they're singles? They're all singles? Or
Yeah, no, you've seen them. They're in the little cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time you had a Jello shot?
That's a good question. We discussed this the other day.
Yeah.
So they are a popular fare at some year-end parties that my wife attends.
Okay.
As a teacher, they have
Yeah.
end of
Oh,
school
yeah,
year
yeah.
parties.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They go hard.
So yeah, that would be one
Yeah.
of those that I attended.
Are you ready? I can answer that question now.
You came. When was the last time you Jello shot?
Thursday.
Okay.
I had one on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I told Jake, Dan, the last time I had a Jello shot was at a Chiefs tailgate with my father.
Yeah.
Because my dad, apparently at all 58 years of age and glory, was offered a Jello shot, and that man took it very quickly. So I decided, well, I can't let him take that
You
alone.
learn something new.
I had to step in. If the old man's taking one, I got to take one with him.
That's fact.
My friends had a pool party, and they had some Jello shots, and I thought of that. I was like, hey, we asked this question the other day. Now I know the answer. It was a green tequila Jello shot.
Okay.
And it was delicious.
Okay.
But 70,000 Jello shots. That's incredible. It really, really is.
Maybe the best tradition at the College World Series.
It over the last couple of years, it's like lockstep with the College World Series. I mean, that's an impressive.
And if you do the most, your team wins. Like, because Ole Miss had the record, and they were national champions last year.
Yep.
LSU wins the Jello Shot Championship, and they win the national championship. Once is an accident, twice is a trend.
Next
I would
year,
also add probably so many bars in Omaha ran out of all types of liquor after last night.
Also,
because those LSU folks go hard.
Also, you stay longer if you know,
yeah,
your
that
fans
too.
are
You know,
there.
it's like, you know, Jake's made a comment. You know, the Stanford number was pretty low, and I'm like, well, they probably like also all left like so early.
soft.
Their team's out. They don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Gonna go home.
That you clearly didn't want to win the World Series, because if you would have
well,
bought more,
that's
maybe
fair.
you would have won.
Maybe.
Maybe
Who knows?
you'd end up winning. All righty. Give me guys in your mind, Dan, that the Royals have to trade before the trade deadline. Who are they?
Scott Barlow, Aroldis Chapman, and I think they got to listen on.
No. I must have.
The only musts then, I guess, are because anybody else I would say I don't think has any real trade value if it's a must trade. Chapman and Barlow are the musts. Those guys, I mean,
or those two are the musts.
Yeah.
I included one other one because you've got and whatever you can get for him. If you can get a one pitch prospect and high A, trade for him. That's Nicky Lopez. Nicky Lopez will not be. I don't even know if Nicky Lopez will be on this team next year. So if Nicky Lopez is not on the team next year, trade him for the biggest lottery ticket that you can get. So I would trade Nicky Lopez if you can. And I do think that there is I'm not saying that you're going to get a top guy back, but with what they've got already in coming up, I think Nicky Lopez could help out a team in the playoff run because he plays great defense, sub him in late. He actually has gotten on base here a lot more than originally thought of. Can play a bunch of different positions. So I think if you can trade, I mean, we're talking about, do you remember guys like Josh Willingham, who the Royals traded for back in 2014? Like, he's a Josh Willingham kind of like that situation to me. So those would be the three guys that I would trade, no questions asked. Nobody else?
I mean, I would strongly consider trading Edward Olivares, but
I would even more strongly consider it. If someone offers me something for Edward Olivares, I'm taking it. Edward Olivares has no long-term future with this team.
Yeah, he doesn't have a position, and you've got too many guys you have to parcel out the DH at bats to keep a guy who is just a DH.
I listed him on you could trade if somebody, I don't know if somebody would want it.
I don't dislike the player, like as a hitter. I think he can hit, but if he's going to stand out among a group of guys, you have to give these DH bats to, whether that's, you're going to DH Salvi twice a week or whatever it is. or over the long haul, Pasquantino might DH if Prado's your first baseman, then yeah, you've got to move Eddie. Just no room at the inn. It's just one of those things. If he could play a competent corner outfield, it's a different story. But I think we've seen enough that suggests he can't.
What do you do about Maikel Garcia?
I feel like he's more your second baseman of the future than your third baseman. I would not stay wedded to him at third because third base is a power position. And even in a rosy projection for Maikel Garcia, he's probably not going to be more than a 10, 15 home run a year guy, which, 10, 15 home runs a year, some decent on-base ability, and an excellent glove. That's a hell of a valuable player at second base. It'd be a very valuable player at shortstop, but I think that Bobby Witt Jr. has shown this year that he's made the defensive strides necessary to still be considered the long-term shortstop. Because I thought there was a possibility that by the end of the year, we'd be talking about Garcia as a shortstop and Bobby Witt Jr. as the third baseman. And they could still think that way. I
think they should legitimately think about trading it.
No, he's 23. He's not gonna be Super 2. That's not a guy you trade. That's a guy you hang on to. That's a guy you find. That's a guy you find a place for. You don't have a deep enough farm system right now, and I know like the idea is okay. Well, you trade a good player, you restock your farm system, but I don't. I think this is a valuable enough player that he looks big leaguer. He looks hitterish. He looks like a big leaguer to me. I think you hang on to that.
As much as I would like to keep Maikel Garcia, and I think I've been very clear about my support of him and how much I enjoy him as a player.
You were on the Garcia train well in the offseason.
I very much was, and I'm taking my victory lap at this moment in time.
I'll give you that one.
But I think there's a future for him at second base. I think that's where the bat profile is best. If he's going to stay a Royal, you are losing. He is losing value as an overall player by not being a shortstop. Like, if Maikel Garcia was an everyday shortstop, I would confidently say by next season, he is a top 3 defender at that position in all of baseball, if not even higher. With how good he is defensively, how well he hits, I don't disagree with you that that's a guy you try to make sure you can find a place on your team. But if a team with a deep farm system offers you a large haul or just a large package for Maikel Garcia and probably something else, I doubt Maikel just himself, the Royals have a glut of infielders. And I know there are plenty of them in that glut that have not gone to the big league level yet, so we don't know where they are in relation to someone like Maikel Garcia. The fact of the matter is, the Royals have a glut of infielders, and you trade from positions of strength. And that's where I land on, I don't think it is crazy to contemplate trading Maikel Garcia to accelerate your rebuild. Because if you want to really kick this thing off, trading guys with a bunch of years of control and talent gets you the biggest returns. He's the guy that would be the centerpiece of that.
Conceptually, I can agree with some of what you're saying. Like if a team calls and makes you a strong offer, says we really want Maikel Garcia, this is what we'll offer you. But I don't think you take him to market. I would.
I agree. I
would agree with you if he were closing in on his arbitration years.
Yeah.
But he's got 6 more years of team control after this one. I think that's you have to look at that as somebody you win with. Yeah. Maybe not somebody you win because of. Like your win because of guys are ideally Witt and Pasquantino and Melendez and Prado, but I think he's somebody you can win with, and I think as such you find a position for him, whether that's second base or third base. I'm leaning towards second base because I think his glove may be more valuable there. That could be a difference of opinion. I think
if we're going glove value between second and third, I think third's the higher glove value.
But is he going to hit enough?
Exactly. That's where second base fits the bat profile as to get deeper into the weeds.
With that being the case, to me, everybody's available if the price is right with this Royals team. Every single one of them. There's nobody that isn't unavailable.
No, that's true.
If somebody offers you a good haul for Prado, you especially Prado or Vinny Pasquantino, you have to look at that. They play the same position, okay? And people are like, oh, well, Prado is so much better defensively than Vinny Pasquantino. I mean, by how much? I mean, come on.
Quite a bit.
Well, over
by leaps and bounds.
Okay, so we're gonna say what, like a whole 1 win a year?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like legitimately.
So if that's the case, 1 win, schmun win. So if somebody offers you a bunch for Nick
do you get to say 1 win, schmun win when you've only got 22 of them through 78 games?
Exactly.
I'll answer that question. No.
Well, yeah, because okay, great. Let's add another win. Wow, sweet. Good thing we got 1 more win. If there's a right price for one of them, I trade them. I just want to know where are they going to get pitching? That's the problem right now. Because and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this year's bad. Next year has a chance to be really bad too. Because where's it coming? That's why I think trading a Maikel Garcia, trading somebody to get you something at least. Do you want to be better quicker, or are you willing to stick it out? Because I'm with you. Garcia, super young. Keep him. They ain't winning next year. Going to win the year after that. So
it's not.
You know what I mean? Like
it's maybe not somebody I would take a bunch of high A guys for, like 2 high A or low A prospects. I might be looking for somebody who is at a different position, but is a similar kind of player. Somebody who is at the big league level or on the cusp. And I don't mean like a Jorge Lopez type. I mean, Lord knows the Royals have brought in enough Jorge Lopez's and Lucius Fox's and Brett Phillips's to last everybody a lifetime.
Yeah.
But like, I'm talking like a challenge trade almost. Like, okay, this is a guy who's a young player who we like, but maybe we don't have the right spot for. You got a young player you like, you don't have the right spot for? Do you have a young pitcher that's kind of getting squeezed out of innings? Do you have, what do you have that we can match up and do a 1-for-1 where this isn't about a rebuild? This is just about, as Fulton would put it, trading from strength to address a weakness. That's the kind of move I think you can afford to make with these younger players, more so than you can do with like the rental players, right? Like that's not the kind of return you should be looking for in exchange for a Aroldis Chapman or Scott Barlow.
Yeah, that is just get prospects and hopefully hit a few.
That's where you do want to replenish the farm system. But if you're trading a young player with 6 years of team control left, you want to be getting something similar to that in return. I think somebody who's on kind of the same development track, for lack of a better way that I can think of putting it right now.
We've also officially hit trade season because the tweets from Yankees writers and fans asking for good players and offering nothing in return are officially here.
They're already seeing trades.
Yeah, the Royals just made a trade.
Like a real one, not the silly one they made this morning.
The Red Sox have made another small trade to add some pitching depth.
Oh, yeah, the fake one the Royals made this morning.
Is that one's fake?
Yeah, Andres Nunez is headed to Boston for cash.
That's fake?
No, it's real. Fake as in like, okay, you're getting cash for a 6 ERA minor leaguer.
Well, I'm just saying it's trade.
There
we go.
We know they're open for business.
There we go.
No, the Angels are making moves.
Fake?
Yeah, they beat the Rockies by 24 runs, then took Mike Moustakas 8 minutes later.
Apparently that trade was consummated before the game.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's some reporting from the Rockies beat writers that Moustakas told his teammates before the game that was going to happen after the game.
That's really
apparently
funny.
They were so distraught that they lost by 24 runs.
Man, they're just for that sad.
Did you watch any of that game?
Yes, I had it on until Chase Anderson gave up home runs on back-to-back pitches, and then I decided I would find something else to do with my night.
Become the first pitcher since Chase Anderson to allow home runs on back-to-back pitches.
I was early off that train.
25. They scored a run though.
They did.
There you go.
Avoided the worst shutout loss since 1887.
Oh boy, you want to be part of those.
Positives. How about that?
And they won the series. Everything's fine.
Everything's good.
This train is bound for glory.
Yeah, we're good. Dan, we appreciate it. What do you got coming up today on 580 Sports Talk?
We are going to talk a little bit about some of these Royals young players, how we feel about their future fits. The Chiefs only have the 19th best skill position players in the league. That's what one ESPN writer says.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And Michael Swain is going to join us for Jayhawk Weekly. We're going to talk more KU football recruiting, maybe some basketball recruiting. And lots more fun stuff going on the program.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Coming up next, Kevin Borderwick, Hall of Fame inductee, coming up on Wednesday, joins us here on Mic'd Up. Mic'd up on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Leading you into 580 Sports Talk and then Royals baseball tonight, 7:10 first pitch, 6:30 pregame coverage. Brady Singer towing the rubber as the Royals, if they win tonight, they are playing 500 baseball over their last 10 games. Very small sample size, but we'll take wins when we can get them. So we got Royals baseball coming up tonight. Jake and Fulton Caster with you on this Tuesday. We'll get to some odds makers. What's Fulton's number going to be this week after a couple wins against the best team in baseball? We'll get to that. But as we always do, we talk to the Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductees. The Shawnee County Sports Banquet is coming up on Wednesday. It is a fantastic event. You honor legends of the past and you honor the exceptional athletes of the now with the winter, fall, and spring male and female athletes, the overall athlete most inspirational, and then you hear the old hats who were excellent at their craft speak. We talked with Chris Barnes, the terrific bowler, yesterday. That was a lot of fun, the Professional Bowling Hall of Fame. And we will talk with Crystal Kemp tomorrow and Rick Peterson. Pistol won't want to talk to us. We're going to make him because he hates talking about himself. But sorry, Pistol, you're just going to have to deal with it. And right now, we are going to talk with, he's going to get mad at me for saying this, but that's okay. I have the microphone right now, and he doesn't. He's one of the greatest coaches right now in the state of Kansas. I don't know how many coaches can win a state volleyball title and then turn around and win a state basketball title The very next year, finished runner-up. He is a part of 8 Class 6A state volleyball championships and 6A basketball championships in 19 and 22. Get this. This is incredible. He has a 1,029, that's right, 1,029 wins to just 261 losses as a head coach in volleyball. That is third all time, third all time in the state of Kansas. And if you combine his basketball and volleyball record, that is 1,311 victories. Has been a part of 13 state championships at Washburn Earl overall. It is an incredible career, and he is still going. He is Kevin Borderwick, and he joins us here. And he's just got done with the off-season workouts. First of all, congratulations, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. And did I miss anything there on all that you've accomplished?
Yeah, I wasn't listening once you said something about the greatest, so I just kind of tuned you out. And I don't know what Rick Peterson, Rick talks about himself all the time.
Well, he hates talking about himself on the radio. I know that. So, but in all jokes aside, Kevin, what a tremendous honor. This wasn't a question of if, it was when, and it's so well deserving. When you got the phone call that said, hey, you're going to be in the 2023 Hall of Fame class, what kind of went through your head?
Well, the first one was undeserving. I don't take enough time to kind of look back. I truly appreciate all the athletes that we've had go through here, and we've had such phenomenal athletes that go through here with a work ethic that rivals none, and just good kids. And it's not just the star athletes; it's the athletes that go through and kind of, they are not a starter as a freshman or sophomore, but kind of work their way in as a junior or senior. And it's the role players. It's the ones who kind of do the dirty work a lot of times. And you kind of go back to where it all started and when my first years here. And you just remember and recall so many names that are too numerous to mention. But there's no doubt that I have been extremely lucky and extremely blessed to have the kids that I've gotten to coach through all these years. And they're the ones who really need a big chunk of that Hall of Fame way more than me, because they're the ones that put in hours and hours of hard work, had to listen to me yell and scream. And then they're the ones that should be recognized.
Well, I will not disagree with you there. You are correct. But also, I will tell you this. It's not a coincidence that you keep churning out top players, Kevin. It's not just, oh, wow, Kevin Borderwick's really lucky when it comes to that. You're doing something very, very right if you win 1,000 games as a volleyball head coach. But I don't think I've ever asked you this, Kevin. How did you get into volleyball coaching? How did that start? Did you say, oh, well, I guess they need a volleyball coach, I'm going to go do that? Like, how did you get involved into volleyball?
So my very first job was at Randolph Blue Valley. It's a 1A school just north of Manhattan. And I was Steve Alexander's assistant basketball coach. And all through college, when I decided I wanted to do coaching and teaching, I really wanted to be a basketball coach. Well, after my second year there, they decided to make a change with the girls basketball coach. And they asked me if I'd be interested. And I said, yeah, I really would. And they said, fine, you got the job, but you're also going to be the head volleyball coach and the head girls track coach. And I knew more about track than I did volleyball, because I just
really?
knew that, yeah, I knew there was a net. I knew that there was a ball that was smaller than a basketball. And that's about all I knew about it. And so, I go to clinics, and Scott Nelson was the head volleyball coach at K-State. I called him. He said, get down here and I'll show you anything you want to do. We got down, during his camp, he said, come on out, get on the floor. You can even watch, you can take notes. And he did everything he could to help me. And then Frankie Albitz at KU was the same way. She invited me to come to her camp. And I just go, here's 2 D1 coaches that are giving a lot of time to a rookie 1A volleyball coach. And I just was so impressed with how they took the time to really help me out and get started. And that's kind of the approach I've taken now that I'm an elder. Any young person, any young coach or coach period that needs advice or wants advice, they call me and I'll do anything to help them. But that's how I got started. And I'll never forget my first practice plan. I took about 6.5 hours to do. And I wanted to be so on point. And even then I didn't know diddly about volleyball. I mean, I thought I knew something at least to get started, but then it's like anything you do, the more you get involved, the more you learn. And I'm still learning after all these years about new things. But that's how I got started.
Wow, I did not know that. That is such a cool story on how a guy started out not knowing anything, that there was a net, and now, you know, he's one of the best volleyball coaches ever. 1,000 wins. That's incredible. So with that, you've been a coach for quite some time. Is X's and O's more important, or is relating or getting the best out of your athletes more important? What do you think? The answer is a combo of both, but if you could pick one or the other, is it more you got to know the game, you got to know the plays, and what works, and maybe volleyball is different than basketball in your mind?
Well, I think they're both the same as far as what you're referencing to. I do know that you got to have the relationships. You've got to have the respect of the kids, which comes from knowing the game a little bit and knowing what drills to do, whether it's basketball or volleyball, and make sure they understand it's a process to get there. It's not going to happen overnight. And so, you know, we're kind of in this society where we need this instant gratification a lot. And you got to drill it in the head. We're not going to be good maybe right now, but down the road we could be. And to be honest, no team I've ever had exemplified that probably more than the basketball team we had last year, because we weren't very good at the start and we were pretty decent at the end.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, you know, almost winning state. Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, I've got to have somebody do. I don't know. I need somebody to tell me how to teach making free throws. If we just make a few more free throws in that game, then I feel a little bit better about it. But regardless, that was a team that just grew and grew and grew by leaps and bounds from day one. And then if they start believing in themselves and they can have that experience, that was just awesome. That's one team I won't soon forget. Even though we didn't win it, that was a team that probably shouldn't have been there, but because they competed and fought the way they did, we got there. But I just think, I don't know what the real answer to that question is. I know that you have to know something about the sport, and I know that you have to be able to relate to kids and get your points across in a good manner. So I don't know if it's one or the other, but I know relationships are extremely important.
We're talking with Kevin Borderwick. He's going into the Shawnee County Hall of Fame on Wednesday at the Shawnee County Sports Bank with one of the 4 inductees, and definitely deserving. Over 1,000 wins in volleyball, a couple state championships in basketball, and you've got just a juggernaut of a program at Washburn Rural when it comes to the volleyball side of things. What is the key to sustaining that success? You know, some of it is once you get that success, then it just becomes ingrained into the program, into the culture. And I always said you never wanted to be the team that lets it down off that high pedestal. What makes that? How do you get to that point? And is it harder to stay at that point?
Well, it's hard to get there, I think, and then it's also hard to sustain it because then people kind of take it for granted. But to me, it's about never lowering the expectations that you have. No matter who's coming through here, the expectations have to be at a high standard. And if they're not, and you're lowering them, then I don't think you'll be as successful. And, we don't really set goals, but we do have expectations and standards that we try to abide by every single day, whether it's in the summer or practice. The little things like running on and off the floor to get a drink or something to that effect, or make sure we dive for a volleyball without letting it hit the floor. And if not, then there's consequences. But it doesn't matter who you have. I mean, obviously, to win, you have to have some great athletes. and that has to happen. But I've seen a lot of great athletes not really live up to the expectations as well. And I guess what I would say is that the reason that we've been this good is because of the expectations and standards that we've had. And, Coach Annan, Bill Annan, when he was here, he was the one that got this basketball program off the ground. And we've just been able to sustain it, basically because of all that he had done in his 18 years here.
You're the head coach of the volleyball team. You're winning state titles, and Coach Bill Annan decides to leave. And I remember when you got the head job, I'm thinking that's back-to-back seasons. I mean, you go right from volleyball and you're playing all the way, to the final day of the year. And then basketball has already started. I'm thinking, how is this man going to do this? What made you to say, yep, you know what? I want to do both of them, and I look at coaching, and I respect coaches so much because I couldn't do what you guys do. You have way more patience than I do. I'd lose my mind. So I always think coaches who are that good at it, but then you do it back to back. Like I get coaching football and then coaching track, or coaching volleyball and track, or volleyball and softball. I get that. You got a season off there. Hey, great. I don't know how you do it, Kevin. I really don't. What made you decide, yep, I'm going to do both back-to-back sports?
Well, the way I do it is by plenty of caffeine. And the reason I did it originally, when Bill decided to take the Oklahoma State position, it was kind of later in the summer. And I told Penny, I said, listen, to help these girls out, and one of those girls was my daughter. We had just won the state championship in 2009. And that group, we had a lot of them coming back for their senior year. And I said, if you want to make this a continuous thing, meaning there's a seamless transition between Bill and I would sure do this. And I could do it for a year, then kind of see where we're at. And well, 1 year turned into 14. So it's just something I really enjoy doing. And people ask me, which one's my favorite? And I said, whatever season we're in, that really is my favorite. And that's not a cop-out. That's really how I feel. I love both sports. I love the kids that are involved with it. There's different aspects of how you coach, how you get things done in practice and things like that. But I don't know. I just told people, until it's not any fun, or until I don't feel like I can give all the energy that I can, then I'll give it up. And I'm not going to give one up. I'm going to give both of them up whenever that happens.
All of a sudden, I feel real bad. I'm drawing a blank on your AD right now. I feel bad because if he's going to have to replace not one but two coaches the day that you decide to hang him up. But I do know that a lot of people there at Washburn Rural are happy to hear you say that, which is a great news. And I know we enjoy you there on the sidelines for both the volleyball and the football side of things. I do have to ask you a couple of volleyball and basketball questions. What makes a better, can a volleyball player be a basketball player, and can a basketball player be a volleyball player? Because all football guys can do track. Not all track guys can do football. How would you say it works in basketball and volleyball?
I think it works pretty well. Now, there's different muscle groups, and in basketball, you're going to be required to have a little bit more conditioning just because of the sport it is. But you look at Carly Batchelor, player of the year in volleyball, player of the year in basketball, also soccer player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And Brooke DeLay was the same way, player of the year, two-time Gatorade player of the year in volleyball, first team all-state basketball. So it transitions, and I really emphasize having multi-sport athletes. You don't have to do three, but if you can do two and want to do two, then do it, because you're only young once. You get 4 years of high school to play for your school, to play in front of your peers. And so I think it crosses over real well. For example, Kate Hinks, a varsity starter in basketball, and she's a great soccer player. Well, some of her soccer physicality really transfers well to the basketball court. If you can jump in volleyball, then that transfers over to the basketball court as well. So I think they can go hand in hand. If you're an athlete and you want to compete, then I think that's what you should do.
Which is harder to coach, volleyball or basketball?
I think they're equally hard. There was a time for volleyball, we won 4 championships in a row in a spell, and people were saying, well, it must be a lot easier to win it in volleyball. Well, we didn't win a volleyball title for 10 years, so I don't think that's the case. I think they're both equally challenging in different aspects, but they're the same. You got to prepare. You got to, just be repetitious in some of the things you do to try to make them better in both sports. But I think they're both challenging in the mental aspect, which is kind of what I've been into lately, of how to compete and be mentally tough and to outwork the opponent and things like that. But they're both equally challenging. I don't think one's worse than the other.
Alrighty. How has the athlete changed? Because I hate saying this to people. Well, you've been coaching a long time because they automatically go, "Oh, it's a fancy way of saying I'm old." But you've been coaching a little bit, Kevin. Has it changed the way that you've had to coach players?
Oh, a little bit. And like I said, we have certain standards and expectations, and that's not for everybody. And there's people that will transfer, and that's fine. They're doing what they think is best for them. But I also know that we hold them accountable in the classroom. We hold them accountable as far as respect, respect for their peers, their teachers, their fellow coaches, and whatnot. And to be honest, COVID, I think, has changed a lot of aspects of teaching. And it has transferred over a little bit to athletics. But I'm old and kind of set in my ways, and I'm not going to lower the expectations that we have of what we expect out of kids when they decide they're going to try out and play our sports.
Alrighty, my last two for the road. I'm not going to ask you, your best team or your favorite players or your best players because we're going to be here forever. I could probably rattle off like 10 volleyball and basketball players right now, and you're just going to say all of them. So I'm not even going to ask you that. See, I'm a veteran when it comes to that. I know you, Kevin, but I will ask you this: is there a match in volleyball that stands out to you where you go, I didn't think we were going to do it, and then we did? Is there one game or match in volleyball or basketball that it has a special place in your heart?
Yeah, there is. So let's take volleyball. And in 2006, we had no seniors on our roster at all, 0 seniors. Our best players were probably a couple of freshmen, a bunch of sophomores, and a couple of juniors. And early in the season, I mean, we had just graduated Kaylee Mann, Kelsey Chip, Jenna Snook, Ashley Mosier. We had graduated a slew of great seniors, and then the cupboard's bare as far as seniors in 2006. And so we lose quite a bit in the month of September, but then when October rolled around, we wound up beating Hayden for the league championship at Manhattan. And then I thought, okay, we have a chance now to really make some noise. Well, sure enough, we barely get by sub-state. As a matter of fact, we lose to Topeka High in the sub-state championship. We lose in the first set. We're down, I think, 14-21 in set 2 and come back and beat them, and then beat them relatively close in set 3 to get us to the state tournament. Well, at the state tournament, I think we went 2-1 in pool play. We beat Olathe South, who just was monstrous as far as height. They had a 6'5", 6'3", 6'2", 6'1" front row. We beat them in 2 sets to get to the championship. And, at that point, everything's gravy. Well, we played Blue Valley West in the championship. The first set, we get beat 8-25.
Oh, no.
And I told him in between sets, well, it can't get any worse, even though it could have, but I thought it can't get any worse than that. So we're behind in the second set, I think 21-24 or 21-23, come back and beat them 25-23 in the second set. And then in the third set, we beat them 31-29.
Wow.
It was just incredible, for a group that young. And then that group went, those two freshmen that were there, they went ahead and won 4 in a row, and they beat Blue Valley West every single year in the state championship. So that 2016, there's probably no way we should have won that.
Yeah.
And we wound up doing it.
That's
and
awesome.
To be honest, and in basketball, that 19 team probably shouldn't have won it. We go up against a 44 win in a row Derby team who had just went the year before, somehow beat them in the semis, and then get to the championship. We win that. And then the 22 just the same way. It was an undefeated Olathe North team that we shouldn't have beat, and wound up beating them by 1 point to get to the championship, and then won the championship in 22. But the ones where you're the underdog, you kind of remember a little more fondly because you think we shouldn't have done that. They did. Those are probably my favorites.
All right. Lastly, one thing: if I'm anointing Kevin Borderwick the sports czar, you get to you can change a rule, implement a rule, get rid of a rule. I am giving you full autonomy on either basketball or volleyball. You get to change a rule, and it will happen immediately. What would you do?
Okay, well, this one's to me kind of easy, but in basketball, I'd like to see a shot clock.
Okay.
That would be my. In volleyball, I really think the sport's really sitting pretty good right now. But in basketball, they've got the rule change about the no more 1-and-1. That's going to be implemented next year. And after 5 fouls, you get to shoot 2 no matter what. But I think if we get a shot clock in there, I'd really like to coach using that.
All right. How do we get this to happen? I'm with Kevin Borderwick. Let's do this. That works. I can tell you this. I married a volleyball player, and now she coaches club volleyball. And so club volleyball is absolutely insane. Just insane. I cannot believe the amount of people I went to my very first tournament, Kevin, a couple of years ago, and my jaw didn't remove from the floor. Like, it was insane. I have come to appreciate volleyball so much more. I think volleyball is so much fun to watch. It is terrific. Had a chance to watch your team here the last couple of years. It's a lot of fun to watch you and your team both on volleyball and basketball make it. It's a tremendous honor. 3rd all time in volleyball victories, a couple state titles in basketball. Kevin, what an unbelievable career. And I know you're still going, and you just got done with workouts literally 30 minutes ago. I tried to get you on, and you're like, well, I got workouts from 8 to 2. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you got volleyball workouts and basketball workouts. I get it. That's the price of, being one of the greatest of all time. Kevin, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing you speak coming up on Wednesday. Thanks for taking the time and talking with us.
Well, thanks, Jake. I really appreciate it.
Kevin Borderwick, one of the 2023 Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame. Always great to talk with Kevin Borderwick. Just a fantastic coach. And I'm not kidding you. I don't know how many other coaches in high school right now are at the top level in both of their sports, and not just the
crazy.
Top, like the tippy top.
Yeah. No,
Like,
it is insane that Kevin is that level. Like, it's one thing to be that in one sport. It's one thing to be a great all-time coach in one sport. It's another to do it in 2 sports. It's another to do it in 2 sports simultaneously.
Yeah.
It is another level to do it in 2 sports at the same time, simultaneously, back to back.
Yeah. I mean, this would be as if
it's insane.
This would be like if Bill Self was a tremendous, baseball coach.
Yeah.
Or if, Chris Kleiman coached the basketball team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe a bad example because that's college, but there's not many people, he passed away a couple last year, the terrific basketball coach for Bishop MIAA, just an absolute juggernaut of a program. That'd be like if he was the volleyball coach.
Yeah.
Like what Kevin Borderwick has done volleyball wise, it's 3rd all time, 1,000 wins.
Yeah. 1,000 wins.
That's incredible. And fan just a great guy in general.
Yeah.
He does the amount of talent that he's like, well, it's all the players. Yeah, just magically the players play that well.
Sure,
Yeah.
Kevin. It's just, magically you get that many great players every year and they just do it all without any other influence.
Yeah, that's
sure,
it.
man.
Yep. That's
All right,
the
dude.
That's the one thing where I will kind of back, I remember Bruce Weber got hammered when he took over and they won the league that year, right? Snap KU streak. And someone goes, well, you don't just say, okay, there's the ball. Go do it, guys. I didn't recruit you, but you're going to do just fine without you. Like, no, you still have to coach them.
Yeah.
They still had to win. And the Washburn comes up big at the big moments too.
Yeah,
so
they do.
Congratulations to Kevin Borderwick. We will talk with one of the best basketball players to ever come from Shawnee County tomorrow, Crystal Kemp. I had a front row seat for that. She graduated in 2002 from Topeka High. We played them in the I-70 league. And I remember one game, I think she went off for like 30 something.
I am very excited. We are 100% going to attempt to try and recap that game.
I'm going to try to
we'll recount it a little bit.
It was incredible. But we'll talk with Crystal Kemp tomorrow and Rick Peterson. He will join us as well for the Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame inductees. Coming up next, the little odds makers here on Mic'd Up. Fulton,
Jake,
what are the odds that the Royals lose 100 games?
So last week, when things were bad, down bad, as the kids say, I set our new high water mark at 95%. Since that moment in time, the Royals have decided to go 4-5 in their last 9 games and split a series with the Tampa Bay Rays, a series I thought they would be lucky to get just one. And they're competitive in 3 of the 4. That all being said, I might be getting roped back in, but not roped in back in that hard. Today, which is the 27th, my number for the Kansas City Royals is 93%. They're still probably going to lose 100 games. It's just going to happen. They dug themselves far too deep of a hole. But out of respect for them taking 2 of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays, I will drop them 2 percentage points. But 93%.
93%.
They're losing 100 games. It's happening.
What was my last number?
You, Jake, were 90%.
I'm gonna up it to 95%.
Man, they win games with you, and you shoot them up 5 percentage points.
Yeah.
Bummer.
They have to win. They have to go 500 the rest of the year, basically.
Yeah, and they're not. And that's just this. Like, yeah, they dug too deep of a hole. Even if they like play better in a general sense, you know, I mean, if they're like, you know, oh, they're 10 games under 500. It's like not great, but you can live with that in this stage. They're still going to lose 100 games because they dug themselves so deep of a hole to start.
Right.
Like, they're going to lose 100 games. It's a bummer, but it is what it is at this point. Probably going to set a franchise record for losses. It is what it is at that point, but it's what happens when you start the year so bad. It just is. Jake, what are the odds Aroldis Chapman or Scott Barlow, I'll give you 2 here, are traded away from the Kansas City Royals before the All-Star break? So in basically the next 2 weeks.
I'll say 20%.
Okay.
And here's the reason why.
Because All-Star game is 2 weeks from today.
Here's the reason why. The MLB draft is the All-Star break. What are GMs doing?
July 9th.
What are GMs doing right now?
Prepping for the draft.
So they're not prepping for the major league clubs.
No, that's true.
And that's the reason why you're not going to see a whole lot of action, I don't think.
It's why this spot in the trade deadline in trade season does get dead around here. It gets overall dead, and you don't see a lot of big moves made because, a lot of front offices have shifted their entire gears towards draft prep. Because, that is coming up on the 9th. That is basically the first real big festivity of All-Star Weekend is the draft. It's been shifted to that date, which I think is right. Turn that entire period where, baseball shifts away and takes a break. Do the draft, do the futures game, do all that stuff. Do it all at once so you can make a bigger spectacle out of it. Yeah.
Is the draft at the right spot?
For how Major League Baseball is, I think it's a perfectly fine spot for it.
The reason I make this point is you're doing the draft during the season.
Yeah.
Where everyone else is like, right now, the Pirates have the first pick. Well, the Pirates are not the worst team. Like the A's are, but that's this year. So a part of me, you know what I mean? Where
it always feels weird because it's a draft that is based off of last year's standings halfway through a season.
Exactly.
So you're kind of watching what happening. So your thought is like, man, where are the A's picking? Like, oh, they're not picking as high as I would think because they're so bad. It's like, I see your point. Baseball is weird in that they have, I would say, unless someone wants to show me data that's different, the shortest offseason.
I think NASCAR is shorter.
Well, okay. Among the 4 major North American sports, I believe that MLB has the shortest offseason.
I think what you're telling me is that we need to shorten the season.
Well, one, yes, that's 100% true. Baseball needs to lop off a month of its season. 100%. And I say that as a guy who loves this sport. Like, I love watching baseball.
You're a rare bird saying, I want less baseball.
I am, but it's just the season's too long. You don't need 162 games. I think you could accomplish a lot by shortening the season. I think it would translate to some better things overall. So like it's not like I'm screaming from the rooftops of like, I will, bait down doors until it's done. But it's a thing if, it ever came out that leadership was actually saying we're going to shorten the season, I'd be on board with it 100%.
Okay. Alrighty. What are the odds that KU or K-State or Wichita State wins the TBT? You're taking the state of Kansas
versus the field
versus, well, not the field, the rest of the country.
Oh yeah, the field. Man, give me 20%, because no offense to the Wichita State team, I don't know how great they're going to play.
They've always been pretty good, though.
They can be feisty. The aftershocks can be feisty. I think K-State's got some feisty players. If I remember correctly, Jake and Fulton's going to be playing for them this year, which was, I think all three of the teams have some good players. Tournaments are weird. And it takes 2 bad days. Honestly, really, it takes 1 bad day. No matter how talented you are, you're outie.
Yep.
So I'm going to go 20% because just it's the randomness factor. One and done tournaments have just such a gigantic randomness factor that I can't go much higher. But I'll go about 20%.
20%? Okay.
I would say so.
I'll be interested to see that, because the teams that you normally think, oh, wow, they got a lot of good players, they never win that thing.
Truly, yeah, it's weird, but it's just one and done tournaments, man.
Part of it?
They're strange.
Alrighty, Fulton, we're going to give away some Royals tickets right now, because we're going to try to put out more good vibes.
Royals also just made a roster move we can get to after the break.
All right, we'll get to that. I believe that because they had to make the corresponding move because of what's his face, right? Did I make that up? They sent Nate Eaton down to AAA.
Yeah,
that was yesterday.
This is the corresponding move to that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
No, this is the corresponding move.
There we go.
No, you are right.
I was like, why are you looking at me like I got 5 heads?
It's just when you said that dude, I was just like, okay, what? I kind of knew, but yeah, no, this is the corresponding move to Nate Eaton.
The guy who strikes out all the time.
Yeah. Correct.
We will go with caller number 5, because the Royals are going to try to win 5 of their last 10 games.
That's a good way to put it.
Caller number 5, you get a pair of lower level tickets or 4 upper level tickets to the game of your choice. Caller 5, we're trying to put out good vibes for the Royals tonight when they take on the Guardians. I still hate that name. That's terrible. Instead of ININ, you decided to go with GUAR. That's dumb. I don't like it at all. Very boring, very lame. It's kind of like the Houston Texans. It's just a stupid name. What's your mascot gonna be? Let's see. Well, we're from Texas, and people from Texas love some Texas, so we'll go with the Texans. Yeah, that's it. The Houston Texans. Terrible name, just awful. The Guardians, same way. Caller number 5, you are going to the K 785-272-9429. Coming up next, Fulton tells us who the Royals brought up to dominate the Guardians. That's coming up next. Our winner today for the Royals tickets. So thank you for listening, Travis. Appreciate that. Do we know what game he wants to go to, Fulton?
Travis needs some time to think, so we'll reach out to him and figure out how many tickets he wants and where he wants to head to the K at.
Sounds good.
If you wanted to choose this weekend, Dodgers are coming to town. That's a good time. That's just for any of you out there. Dodgers are coming to town this weekend if you want to watch a good team.
Well, he needs to let us know. Travis, if you want the Dodgers, time's the ticking. All right, what's the move? What happened? What's going on here?
Nate Eaton has been optioned back to AAA Omaha. That move was announced yesterday because the Royals like to do that on off days for some reason. Today, Kyle Isbell has been reinstated from the injured list.
Oh, dear.
Kyle Isbell is back, and he is in the lineup tonight. Your Royals lineup tonight, just while we are here. Nick Prado leading off, playing first base. Bobby Witt Jr. at short. He will bat second. MJ Melendez, your left fielder. That is right. MJ's moving to left tonight. We're getting wild, folks. He will bat third. Maikel Garcia is at third base and batting cleanup for whatever reason. That is wacky. Kyle Isbell is your center fielder. He will bat fifth. Edward Olivares is your designated hitter. He will bat sixth. Drew Waters shifts over to right field tonight. Drew Waters will bat seventh and play right. Nicky Lopez is your second baseman. He will bat eighth. And Freddie Fermin is your catcher. He will bat ninth. It is an off day for Salvador Perez. This is all in support of Brady Singer. They will face Gavin Williams for the Cleveland Guardians.
Salvador Perez getting an off day after an off day.
Yeah.
Anything to think there?
Big guy's dinged up. I mean,
Okay.
maybe his eyes are flaring up. I mean, they've said with the vision thing is there's no long-term fix. They occasionally pop up. Listen, this coaching staff, it's been talked about under the Rays. They rarely have players play 150 games in a year. They use a lot of off days, a lot of rest. And with Salvy's age and the beating he takes every game he's catching, I know everyone wants to see him in there. I know I want to see him in there too, but a little extra rest for a 33-year-old catcher, you're going to give him better miles later on.
Was it Saturday or Friday, the day that he got, it was like every foul
I think
ball
it was
hit him.
Saturday. He was just getting pummeled
he got
back there.
destroyed
I
back
think
there.
it was Saturday.
How about this? The outfield, this might be their best outfield.
It's your best outfield of a combination of defense and offense.
Yep.
Because I mean, MJ Melendez is not an elite outfielder, but he's miles ahead better than Edward Olivares. And then on the bat profile, I mean, even with MJ's struggles, that bat is better than usually with Dairon Blanco or some Taylor's giving you from an overall perspective. Defensively, the best version is just you slot in Dairon Blanco in left. I really like Isbell center, Waters right field. Isbell being the center fielder, Waters moving to a corner. If you have to play those two guys together, i.e. if Kyle Isbell starts hitting well enough to, kind of be a everyday outfielder, this is the right way to do it. Because as good as Drew is good in center, Kyle is better.
We just need one of them to hit worth anything.
If one of them can stick as a long-term center field option, that's great. If both do it, that's just a bonus.
Well, that doesn't happen for the Royals. So
I know the bonus never happens. So,
no.
But Kyle Isbell back tonight. I have, but I don't make a lot of complaints about lineup construction. I truly don't. But I actually have one with this one, and this is just going forward. Having Nick Prado lead off so Maikel Garcia can bat cleanup is just a weird decision. I'm going to defer to Q, and as I've always said, what really just matters is kind of balancing who goes where. But I think Nick Prado could be better served to drive in some runs, let Maikel Garcia just do the get on base part. If it works, it works. Weird stuff happens. That's a galaxy brain maneuver that I truly just don't understand right now. But it's fine. They're both playing, and that's what matters.
This is where you are, and remember, I say this with all due respect. This is where you and I differ. Lineup construction on a team that has won 23 games
truly doesn't matter.
Doesn't mean squat.
No, hey, brother, that's fair. I don't blame you for a second.
As long as you have Prado, Witt,
as long as they're playing.
Well, no, as long as Prado, Witt, Melendez, and Garcia are 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care.
You don't
what
care how
order
it's
you got
arranged?
'em. Who cares? Green jacket, gold jacket, doesn't really matter. If we're talking that they are in the mix of a playoff implication,
then we can maybe nitpick the balance and who's hitting where. Okay.
I'll be a little bit more interested in that.
But yeah, Kyle Isbell back with the Royals tonight.
Your boy. Proud Papa over here.
I need that bat to start working.
Proud Papa over here.
He does other things so well. Just needs to hit.
That and keep his hammy healthy.
That too.
Learn how to run.
Yes.
Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with the mic drop. For the mic drop, Fulton, what do you got?
Very simple. Kyle Isbell's bat today. As the leader of the Kyle Isbell fan club, I hope it goes well, but I am willing at some point to maybe have to surrender the leadership of this fan club.
You got a bit now you got till
we got time.
You got till like August.
No, I got the entire rest of the year. I'm giving myself the rest of this season. Now, if it gets really bad, then we might reevaluate. Yep. But right now, we're going to give ourselves the rest of this season.
Yep. I'm going to go with the fact that 23 years ago today, Nelly released his first studio album entitled Country Grammar.
Good album.
On that was one of the best rap songs of all time. Maybe it's more hip hop, not rap. But Ride With Me, fantastic song. That was released.
Yeah, it was
23 years ago today.
Pretty great.
We got 580 Sports Talk and then Royals Baseball. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon. Have yourselves a great evening.